We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We don't need anything they have.
But a lot of his supporters also just like that he bucks tradition.
Wow, things are pretty stupid right now, aren't they? So Donald Trump, in a press conference today, made some comments about various allies that he wants to take over. It's hard to know how much of this to actually take seriously. Because on one hand, this is so completely insane. On the other, Donald Trump is completely insane. So this could be a negotiating tactic for whatever his other purposes are. Could be a way to distract from the things he actually plans to do. Or it could be a real idea that he is laying out in front of us. So I'm going to get to a few of these clips, as well as some reaction online, including how CNN is being complicit in some of this. And I'll get to how ridiculous the CNN anchor is in a bit here. But first, here is, let's start with these comments. Donald Trump's idea to rename the Gulf of Mexico. Yes, this is how dumb things are.
$50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them.
The Gulf of America. What a beautiful name. It reminded me of Hakuna Matata. What a wonderful phrase. This is so dumb. In fact, it is so dumb that this was a joke that Stephen Colbert brought up in 2010 on the Colbert Report at the time. Colbert raised $150,000 for the Gulf oil spill cleanup, thanks to a sponsorship by Microsoft. So he got his wish. They gave money to the Colbert Nation Gulf of America Fund. Here is the graphic of that. Gulf of America. We are living in a time where Colbert's hyperbolic caricature of Republicans is, in fact, just what the party is now. Let me get to the next clip. I got nothing else to add there. Like, what else is there to add? So it's so stupid. It's so stupid. Here is more. This deals with Greenland and Panama, what he plans to do there.
Your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal, so forth. Can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the strategy?
Yeah, I can't assure you. You're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this. We need them for economic security.
So there you have it. Donald Trump claiming that, no, military is not off the table when it comes to Greenland and the Panama Canal. And to go to just how far he is going with this, at least currently, Don Jr. is currently visiting Greenland amid father's interest in owning the island, which is controlled by Denmark. It's an autonomous territory, as they say there. The Danish PM says it's not for sale. I can't spend much time on this because it's just, this gets to what is the benefit to anybody trying to actually go through with this, which again goes to why it is hard to take any of this seriously. But keeping in mind, Donald Trump is a very unserious, ridiculous person. And he is now surrounded with more sycophants than he was before, meaning less guardrails, less people in the room who have some semblance of an idea of what is going on. So they are more open to these sorts of outlandish ideas in a way that his previous administration may not have been. Now, Charlie Angus, who was an NDP MP in Canada, reacted to what Trump has been saying, or what he said today, saying sending his dumb-ass son to Greenland while threatening Canada is a deliberate provocation of NATO. Going on to write, on the day he should have been offering a vision for America, Donald was threatening the sovereignty of Canada, which I'll get to in a bit here. And then he sent Don Jr. to Greenland in an overt message of grifter imperialism. This is a deliberate provocation of his NATO allies. Both Canada and Greenland/Denmark are founding members of NATO. Under Article 5 of the Charter, a threat to any NATO nation requires military intervention from other NATO allies, Germany, UK, France, Netherlands, Iceland, etc. Do you really think the U.S. Army is going to war with 32 countries of NATO? Hopefully not. Hopefully not. I don't know what else to add here. Trump is not even in yet. So we got some time. Here is how CNN is reacting, at least initially reacted to some of this. Check out how ridiculous the CNN host is here.
We should not be gratuitously pissing these people off. Again, where is the economic benefit for the people who voted for Donald Trump when he's off, telling tales of Greenland and renaming the Gulf of Mexico?
Well, when the way he pitches it is, when it comes to Greenland, for example, it's for national security purposes. Is there any credence to that statement?
No, it's bananas. It's insane. I mean, again, Denmark, which owns Greenland, I think that's probably a fact that most Americans are learning, is a NATO ally, right? No, so it's just complete madness from a national security standpoint, and it also is antagonizing, right? What if some leader in Canada or Mexico is elected and says, Mexico, we want California back? Where's the economic message there?
I certainly see your point about the economic message being a big driver for the election, but a lot of his supporters also just like that he bucks tradition, that he doesn't do what others do, that he's willing to throw stuff out there that may be controversial, and he portrays himself as a negotiator and a businessman, and a lot of his supporters frankly like that. A lot of his supporters frankly like what he threw out about renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America.
Are you on the payroll? Is it your job to explain why his supporters like him? Or is it your job as a journalist to push back against insanity? To acknowledge objective reality? To hopefully report things from the perspective of human rights and humanity? Absolutely insane that they are entertaining this in the way that they are. To have the Democratic congressperson there be the one to try and inject reality instead of the actual news anchor is wild. Expect more of this. This is the turn that a lot of media is making. Mark Zuckerberg came out today, Facebook, saying that they're not going to be moderating content on there, that they're going to just, have fact checks based on the community themselves, which, if you know anything about the Facebook community, yeah, good luck with those fact checks. So this is just what a lot of those in power are doing. Simply bowing to the leader, Donald Trump, because they want to be able to maintain their wealth, their power. It's disgusting. Here now is Trump's comments on Canada, which, thank God at the very least, military force is off the table with Canada, at least for now.
Mr. Lopez, you said you were considering military force to acquire Panama and Greenland. Are you also considering military force to annex and acquire Canada?
No, economic force, because Canada and the United States, that would really be something. You get rid of that artificially drawn line, and you take a look at what that looks like, and it would also be much better for national security. Don't forget, we basically protect Canada. But here's the problem with Canada. So many friends up there. I love the Canadian people. They're great. But We're spending hundreds of billions a year to protect it. We're spending hundreds of billions a year to take care of Canada. We lose in trade deficits. We're losing massive. We don't need their cars. You know, they make 20% of our cars. We don't need that. I'd rather make them in Detroit. We don't need the cars. We don't need their lumber. We have massive fields of lumber. We don't need their lumber. We have to unrestrict them because stupid people put, restrictions on, but I can do that with an executive order. We don't need anything they have. We don't need their dairy products. We have more than they have.
If you don't need anything that Canada has, then why do you want Canada to become the 51st state? Curious. I'm going to get to Justin Trudeau's response to that in a second. It appears the chains are off, at least a little bit, likely because he is going to be resigning, so he won't have to be dealing with this clown. But this is, I really don't need to defend Canada here. It's Trump. He says things. He's an idiot. But just to be clear on some of this stuff, I mean, energy alone. So in 2020, Canada supplied the U.S. with 98% of its natural gas imports, 93% of its electricity imports, and 28% of its uranium purchases, helping power millions of homes, businesses, and cities from coast to coast. The U.S. relies heavily on Canada. So you got nothing we have. Well, I'd like to see what would happen if the power was turned off. But on top of that, of course, Canada and U.S. are each other's major trading partners. So you could see U.S. imports with Canada and U.S. exports. Top trading partner. Of course, there's a lot that Canada has that the U.S. utilizes. The idea that there's nothing there that he needs is insane. Again, just on its face, because he wants it to be a state, apparently. Again, is this a negotiating tactic? Probably. But whatever the hell it is sure as hell is stupid. Now, Trudeau's response to this is there isn't a snowball's chance in hell that Canada would become part of the United States. Workers and communities in both our countries benefit from being each other's biggest trading and security partner. I am very curious how a future conservative prime minister in Pierre Poilievre, how he is going to be dealing with Trump, considering they both have very similar, far-right support bases. Well, what's going to happen there? Because, Trump's time in office, he only dealt with Trudeau. He didn't get to deal with a conservative PM. And vice versa. There hasn't been a conservative PM who had to deal with Trump. So part of me is I'm just morbidly curious how that interaction is going to play out, because based on how things currently look, Canada's next prime minister is going to be a conservative, and there's going to be some conflict there. There has to be, just based on how antagonistic Trump has been with Canada, and he's not even sworn in yet. Last thing here, I think this was a good point made by Ron Flipkowski on Blue Sky. Trump ran on a platform as a peace candidate who would stop endless wars and would end the war in Ukraine in 24 hours, but in the last 24 hours conceded that was not going to happen, and he wants to invade Greenland and Panama and wants to take over Canada through economic warfare. Trump was the anti-war candidate. Remember that? He, despite the dropping the mother of all bombs in Afghanistan, despite provoking Iran with an attack on their top general, despite increasing drone strikes to historic levels, Trump was somehow viewed by some as an anti-war candidate. Yet here he is attempting to start a war with 3 different allies before he's even in. Amazing.